I'm going to continue from there. I'm going to continue from that point. Guys, yesterday we discussed about thread life cycle. And today we are going to look at about what is the meaning of joining the threads. Okay, right. So before that, I want to show you something. I told you about priority, thread priority, correct? So first let me open the document as well. So as you can see, we have discussed about the priority. Okay, right. I told you that priority should be in between 1 to 10. Okay. And you know, there are some methods in thread like set name, get name, set priority, get priority, right? We discussed about some other methods also. There is a static method called yield method, join method. So just to verify what are the methods in thread class, at least some methods, if you remember, that is well and good. Okay. Now, because in coding, anyhow, we are going to understand some methods. So today we are going to discuss about a concept called as what is the meaning of joining the two threads. Okay. We'll talk about a concept called as what is the meaning of joining two threads. We are talking about a concept called as joining two threads. See, suppose requirement is, suppose in my application, there are two threads. Okay, in my application, there are two threads. Now what I want to do, I want to join another thread to the current thread. Its meaning is, I want to stop execution of the current thread until some other thread execution is completed. If I want to stop the execution of current thread until another thread's execution is completed, okay, then I should join one thread with another thread. Okay, what join method will do? Join method will make a thread to wait until the execution of another thread is completed. Okay, right? Let's see how the join method works. Okay. Mostly when you come to real-time applications, generally threads will execute independently. Okay, right? And we don't join the execution of one thread with another thread. Mostly this will not happen. But still, if any such requirement comes in, Java has given a facility in multi-threading that you can join one thread with another thread. So when you join another thread with a current thread execution will be stopped until the joined thread execution is completed. Once the joined thread execution is completed, then the current thread execution will continue. Till that time, the current thread will stop and only the joined thread will continue. And once joined thread execution is completed, then current thread will resume back. That's how the join method will work. That's how the joining of two threads will work. Let's see with an example. For that, we have a method called as join method. For that, we have a method called as join method. Okay, join is a method in threads. Like I told, set priority, set name, get name, like that. We have join method also. So we will look at about how join method works with an example. Okay, that's how the join method works. Let's see. So guys, what I'm trying to say, join method statement I want right here. Okay, when you want to, okay, when you want to join the execution of another thread with the current thread, then you have to call join method. You have to call which method? You have to call join method. Okay, you have to call join method. Okay, when you want to join the execution of another thread with the current thread, then you have to call the join method. When another thread is joined with the current thread, then the current thread execution, the current thread's execution will be suspended, and the joined thread execution will be continued. Once joined thread execution is completed, then the current thread execution will be resumed. For this, which method we need to call? Join method. Let's see with an example. Okay, right. Let's see. The example I want to show, but I think I created with Java 8 features. No, right, very good. See here. Everyone. If you observe, I'll try to explain it. If you observe, just I created one main class and I have created one thread class. I told already main is also a thread. By default, every Java program contains at least one thread, which is called as main thread. By default, every Java program contains what? At least one thread, which is called main thread. So what is the base point here? Main is also a thread. Okay. And I also created one thread class by extending thread. This thread, the task what this thread will do. Each thread will perform a task. If you want to perform multiple tasks within an application independently, then we should go for multi-threading. If you don't apply multi-threading, then the tasks in an application will be executed sequentially one after the other. But if you want to execute the tasks parallelly, then we should go for multi-threading. Each thread will do a task. So again, the task of the thread is what? Print 1 to 50. Example. What is the task of the main thread? Print from 51 to 70. Print from 51 to 70. Correct. Main is also a thread. The task of main thread is 51 to 70. The task of other thread is 1 to 50. The two threads are there. My requirement is I want to join this my thread with the main thread. I want to join the my thread with main thread. Okay, right? I want to join the my thread with main thread, which means I want to suspend main thread execution until my thread is completed. Once my thread's execution is completed, then I want to resume the main thread back. So I want to join my current thread is main thread. I want to join my thread. Okay. I can apply condition also. What's the condition? If, for example, j is equal to 15, sorry, if j is equal to 55, then I say T1 dot join. If j is equal to 55, then what I'm saying? Join T1. Who is T1? It's an object of my thread. Means it is another thread object. Main is already a thread. Okay, right? And just to know the name of the thread, current thread, there is a method called as thread.current thread. Thread.current thread means current thread reference we will get. If you want to get the reference of current thread, then we can use a statement called thread.current thread. Current thread reference we will get. If you want to get the name of the current thread, then you can call get name. So statement is what, for example, I'm writing system.out.println. Thread dot current thread dot get name. I told just now what thread dot current thread returns current thread object. Who is the current thread here? My thread. Dot get name. Each thread has a name. By default, thread names starts with the thread -0. Thread -0, thread -1, thread -2. If you want to customize the name, you can give. By default, the name of a thread is starting from thread -0. The name will be thread -n. N will be a number. First thread, thread -0. Second thread, thread -1. Third thread, thread -2. Thread -3. Thread -4. If multiple threads are there, like that, you'll get the names. If you want to customize the name, you can give the name. I will tell you how to give the name. Okay. So thread dot current thread dot get name. First, I'll show you. So I will write like this now. Inside plus thread dot current thread dot get name. Just to know, inside thread dot current thread dot get name. Okay, please understand. Inside thread dot current thread dot get name. Okay, right. Once this for loop is completed, system.out.println, what I can write? I can write saying that thread dot current thread dot get name plus is completed. So what this statement returns? Thread dot current thread dot get name returns name of the current thread. How can you get the current thread reference? How can you get the current thread reference? There is a method called current thread. It's a static method, so we can call directly with the class name. What's the class name? Thread dot current thread dot. How to get the name? Get name. Similarly, main is also a thread. Now here also what I will write? System.out.println system.out.println inside which thread? How to get the current thread reference? Thread dot current thread. Then how to get the name of the current thread? By calling get name method. By calling get name method. Okay, that is called thread dot current thread dot get name. How to display that this thread execution is completed? System.out.println thread dot current thread dot get name plus is completed. This is how I'm writing the code. That's it. Am I clear with you? Am I clear with you, right? Let's start. Let us start. Let's run. We'll find out the code. Okay. Am I clear? Now see.
Yes, sir.
When I'm joining the thread when j is equal to 55. When I'm joining the thread when j is equal to 55. Initial value of j is what? 51. So Am I joining the other thread here? No. When j is equal to 52, also no. 53, no. 54, no. When j is equal to 55, then what I want to do? Join. Immediately, whenever I join the other thread, what happens to my current thread now? It's suspended. The current thread is suspended. Joined thread will continue. Who is the joined thread here? T1. T1 will continue. T1 will print up to 50. After that, that execution is completed. After execution completed, then who will resume back? Main thread. That's how join statement works. What is the name of the main thread? Main. What is the name of the other thread? Thread hyphen 0. Thread hyphen 0. Now we can see till j value 55, ij, some both are got executed. Na? Of course, may not be in the same order, but executed. Na? But after j is equal to 55, only who is executing? I is executing. Because I told you, na, the current thread will be suspended. Now the joined thread is continuing now. Okay, joined thread is continuing up to 50. Joint thread will continue up to 50. After 50, joined thread execution is completed. Its task is completed. Then who will resume back? Main thread. Main thread will continue from 56 to 70. That's how join method works. Who is completed thread 0? Up to 70, J will print now. Lastly, we'll get answer called main thread completed. So what is the name of the main thread is main. What about the default names of other threads? Is thread hyphen 0, thread hyphen 1. If I create two threads, what are their names? Thread hyphen 0, thread hyphen 1. Name of the main thread is main. Main is completed. This is called how join works. If you want to give a name, then at the time of creating the thread, I can pass the name. This is the syntax of creating the thread. What is my class name? My thread. Object name is T1 is equal to new my thread. My thread. How can I set the name for this thread? Before I start, I need to set the name. How can I set the name? T1 dot. What's the name? Set name. Set name is a method to set the name for the default name is what? Thread hyphen 0. But I just want to say the name as other thread. Other thread. Now that what's the name of the other thread? No, other thread, not thread hyphen 0. What's the name of the main thread? Main. Okay. Name of the main thread is main. If you want to change the name of the main thread, then also you can do it. How can you do that? Thread dot current thread dot set name. Thread dot current thread dot set name of main thread. What's the default name? Just main. But I want to change to what? Main thread. Now see the output. Inside what thread? Main thread. Inside what? Other thread. You are getting the names as given by us. What's the method we call? Set name. Set name. So what is the purpose of thread dot current thread? To get the current thread reference. How can you get, if you are writing this statement in main, you are getting the main thread reference. If you are writing this code in another thread, that thread reference. How to get the current thread reference? By calling current thread method, thread dot current thread. Okay. Now the same procedure. So first, other thread will complete when I is equal to 50. Okay. So we need to wait up to I is equal to how much? 50. Then other thread is completed. Next main thread will resume back. This is how join method works. Or the answer, other thread is completed. We are getting output like 56, 57, 58 like that. Last was the message, main thread is complete. Okay, so try to execute this program. This is the joining threads join related example. Okay, now? Right. So I just want to copy this into the document as an example. Here's an example on joining the threads. So practice this program and try to see the output today. Okay, you got the concept of how to join the threads, and we got it. Now, when we are working with, I repeat, when we are working with collections, while working with collections, I told that. I repeat once again, while working with collections, I told that hash map object is not a thread safe object. Array list object is also not a thread safe object. Like that, we discussed about some statements, right? But whereas concurrent hash map is a thread safe object. Correct? Now we will discuss about, in our threads example, we will create one hash map object. And the same hash map object is going to be used in, the same hash map object is going to be used in thread 1 and thread 2. If two threads are simultaneously using the same hash map object, then what happens? Both the threads can able to modify the hash map object at a time. Correct? Both the threads can be able to modify the hash map object at a time, because hash map is not a thread safe object. Correct? If you want to make it as a thread safe object, then we need to apply a concept called as synchronization. That synchronization topic we are going to discuss in threads now. Now, what I want to do is, I want to write one small Java program now. Threads program now. What we want to check is, I repeat once again, what we want to check is whether concurrent hash map object is allowed to modify at a time or not. Concurrent hash map object can be modified by multiple threads simultaneously or not. Okay, first we will discuss with let's say hash map object. So then next we will discuss with concurrent hash map object. Okay, we are going to look at about such kind of things now. I will try to explain using concurrent hash map, because at the time of discussing concurrent hash map in collections, I told you that this example we are going to discuss in multi-threading. So now today we are going to look at about that program. Means what the next program I'm going to say. I will use concurrent hash map. I'll use one concurrent hash map object. Two threads can at a time use the same concurrent hash map object and can be able to do the changes. Can be able to do the changes. Sure. It can be able to do the changes. Okay, right? So we are going to understand about that, whether concurrent hash map object can be modified by the multiple threads simultaneously or not, because concurrent hash map is a thread safe object. I told concurrent hash map will create bucket level locks. Each bucket has a lock. By default, 16 buckets are there, so 16 locks are created. A thread can work on lock 1, another thread can work on lock 2. If two threads are not working on the same bucket, the two threads are allowed at a time to modify the concurrent hash map object. Okay, right? So now we are going to understand. Now we are going to understand with an example. What example we are going to discuss about concurrent hash map. Okay, right? We are going to work on concurrent hash map. I'll explain that. Okay. Let me use concurrent hash map. So joining is completed. So I just want to remove all this code. You know how to set the name for a thread. That is also good. What will I do is I have to do some changes. So let me create one new application. I'll create one new application. One new Java project I'll create, okay? Let's say threads with the map example. Let's create a project here, guys. Let's create the project. Okay. Now project is ready. What will I do is I'll tell you. See here. I am creating one new class. Okay, let's see the package name also com.ashokit.cf. It is main class with the main method. First, understand everyone. If I write a class like this, class my thread extends thread, correct? Then tell me, of course, which method I have to override here? Run method. Which method I should override? Run. Run method I should override. I'll remove the logic. Tell me now, how many threads are there in this code presently in this skeleton? Two threads are there. One is my thread, other one is main thread. My thread and main thread. What I will do is, in main thread, I will create a one concurrent hash map object. Concurrent hash map of integer comma string. Okay. I say CHM is equal to new concurrent hash map. So what I'm creating here, concurrent hash map object I'm creating. Okay, first I want to add two key value pairs, chm dot put. Okay, put of 1 comma 1 key value, that's it. Key type is what? Integer. Value type is what? String. That's why I'm keeping 1 comma 1, ONE1. chm dot put 2 comma TWO2. Okay, it is ready now. What I will do is the same concurrent hash map object I want to use in this main thread. I also want to use in my thread. That's why what I will do is I will take one reference variable to store this concurrent hash map object. So concurrent hash map of integer comma string, let's say chm. That chm is a different variable. This chm is different variable. In the constructor, I'll define a constructor of my thread class with parameter as a concurrent hash map object. Concurrent hash map object parameter. chm. This dot chm is equal to chm. Concurrent hash map of blah blah blah. Okay. Yeah, there is spelling mistake. I'll write. Concurrent hash map. Sorry. Tell me. First of all, tell me how to create an object of this class. My thread T1 is equal to new my thread. But tell me there is a constructor in my thread class. This constructor accepts what? This constructor accepts what? Concurrent hash map object as an argument. This constructor has one parameter. What is the parameter of this constructor? Concurrent hash map object as a parameter. For the object, what the reference variable name? CHM is a variable. It has one parameter. Parameter name is CHM. What is the type of the parameter? Concurrent hash map. So what I will do is I will pass CHM here. I'll pass CHM. Simply what I'm doing, I'm passing the concurrent hash map object created in this main thread to the my thread also. Okay, nothing but now main thread and this my thread both are going to use the same concurrent hash map object. Okay, main thread and the my thread both are using the same concurrent hash map object, same collection object. Because I'm passing this concurrent hash map object to the my thread in the constructor. Right? So in my thread, I have defined a constructor with parameter concurrent hash map. But tell me finally, both the threads, my thread and main thread, both are going to use what? The same object. Which object? Concurrent hash map object. Both are using it. Now I will go to run method. In run method, I will write, observe here. Let's say try block. Try chm dot put of 4 comma 4. Okay, chm dot put of 4 comma 4. Okay, I'll try to write thread dot sleep for 2 seconds. 2000 milliseconds, 2 seconds only. No? Catch interrupted exception. sleep method, yield method, join method, they throw this exception. What's the exception name? Interrupted exception. It is a checked exception, i.e. display that exception if occurred. Tell me. Tell me now, my thread and main thread, both are using same object. Which object? Concurrent hash map object. Same concurrent hash map object. In main thread, I'll say T1 dot start. Then I will write CHM dot put off 3, 3. Question to you. Tell me how many threads are sharing this concurrent hash map in this example? How many threads are sharing this concurrent hash map object in this example? How many threads are sharing the concurrent hash map object in this example? 2 threads. One is main thread, other one is my thread. I am creating concurrent hash map object here. And I am passing the same concurrent hash map object to the my thread also in the constructor. Nothing but how many threads are sharing this? 2 threads. 2 threads. Okay, 2 threads are sharing it. Okay, as I said already, concurrent hash map object is a thread safe object. Okay, and that to concurrent hash map object performance is better because it uses only bucket level locks, not the entire map is locked. See, this my thread is going to work on, is going to store information in one bucket. This main thread is going to store this key value pair in another bucket because the key is a different key. Now both the threads are not working on same bucket. Now 2 threads are at a time allowed to modify or not? Yes, allowed. Yes, allowed. This is called what? This is called what? Concurrent hash map is a thread safe object and it uses what level of locking? Bucket level. See, is my main thread is waiting for this main thread, my thread completion? No. Both will work parallelly and both are working on 2 different buckets. So basically thing is okay, a bit difficult to understand, but still you try as you are best. For example, assume that guys, what I'm saying is the concurrent hash map object CHM. It's a CHM. What I'm saying, main thread is working on this bucket. Which thread is working on this bucket? Main thread. My thread is working on this bucket. Question is both threads allowed to perform simultaneously on 2 different buckets? Yes, allowed. Because concurrent hash map object is having bucket level locks. If a main thread is working on 3rd bucket, main thread is working on 3rd bucket, my thread is working on 4th bucket. Are the 2 threads working on same bucket or 2 different buckets? 2 different buckets on the same object, na?
Yes.
Right. Concurrent hash map will allow this or not? Is answer yes. Concurrent hash map will allow. Okay, because concurrent hash map maintains bucket level locks. If, for example, 2 threads are working on the same bucket, then only 1 thread is allowed. Other thread will wait. Okay, other thread will wait for the completion of the previous thread, main thread. For example, if both the threads are working on same bucket, suppose if main thread is working, my thread will wait. But here no need to wait because both are working on 2 different buckets. This is called concurrent hash map. If it is a hash map object, for example, it is not a concurrent hash map, it is a hash map object, then Suppose it is a hash map object. You know what happens in that case? If it is a hash map object, in that case, what happens, even though they are working on different buckets, if I make the hash map object as a thread safe object, then this thread has to wait. This thread has to wait. Actually, it is working on different bucket, but still you wait because already one thread is working. If it is which object? Hash map. If you make that hash map as a thread safe, then only one thread can work at a time on the hash map. But what about concurrent hash map? You don't need to make it as thread safe. It is already thread safe. And it has bucket level locks. Correct? So entire object is locked or only buckets are locked? Only buckets are locked, not the entire object. That's the advantage of concurrent hash map. Let's see. What will I do? I just want to write. I have to give some sleep time here. Try thread dot sleep of some time. Let's say sleep of 2 seconds. Catch interrupted exception. Then I say system dot out dot print L5. Okay, am I clear with all these points so far? Now what I want to do is I want to print now concurrent hash map now. How to print the elements of concurrent hash map here? I can use a for loop now. System dot out dot println the elements of concurrent hash map. Did you understand this? Elements of what? Concurrent hash map. Am I clear? Am I clear? Everyone, am I clear? Let's start with. The elements of concurrent hash map. How to display the elements of concurrent hash map? I told already directly we cannot use iterator on map object. Map doesn't have iterator. Directly we can't iterate the map. You can do one thing. You first get all the entries. There is a method called entry set, which returns entry objects, a set containing entries. Then you can iterate set. Directly we can't. Correct? I will do one thing. Set of entry of integer comma string. This is already we have used in 2 examples. This is the 3rd example I'm using with this concept. 3rd example, not first example or second example. I'm explaining 3rd example. Related to this entry set, 3rd example it is. There is a method called entry set. Import map.entry. Now I can start for entry of key type integer and value type string. Let's take variable name is entry colon set. System.out.println. Entry has 2 methods. Get key to return the key. Then I want to use a dash symbol. Then I want display after the dash value. Entry dot get value. Entry dot get value. Entry dot get value. This is how I want to work. This is how I want to work. Let's see what happens with this code. The question is now, initially my concurrent hash map object has how many key value pairs here? 1 and 2. Next T1 thread is started. The same hash map object is used by what and what? Main thread and my thread. What my thread is storing or putting a key value called 4. What main thread is putting a key value called 3. Now you see, into my concurrent hash map, all these changes are affected or not? Okay, who is putting this 3, 3? Main thread. Who is putting this 4, 4? My thread. Both the threads are sharing same concurrent hash map object.
Yes.
Right? Yes. Both are working on same key value pair or different key value pairs?
Same key
Both
value.
are working on same key value pairs or different key value pairs? Different, because main thread is putting 3. My thread is putting 4. They are working on different buckets. They are working on different buckets. If they are working on same bucket, then what happens? One thread is allowed, other thread should wait. One thread is allowed, other thread should wait. Okay, right? Because both are working on same bucket. If both are working, but in this example, both are not working on same bucket. Both are working on 2 different buckets. Both are working on 2 different buckets. That's why okay, now that's why it will work. This example will work. Okay, which means what you understood now? In this example, you can share the concurrent hash map object between 2 threads, and the 2 threads can simultaneously work on concurrent hash map object. Am I clear with this? Okay, right? And both are working on different buckets. If they are working on same bucket, then what happens? One thread will wait until other thread is completed that bucket. After that thread, this thread will enter. But are you making this concurrent hash map object as a thread safe object by yourself? Are you writing any logic to make the concurrent hash map object as a thread safe object? No, just we are creating the object. By default, concurrent hash map object is a thread safe object. Okay, good to know. Just practice this example, will tell you. I'll write the code. I'll write one statement also. The below example uses concurrent hash map object in 2 threads, that is in main thread and my thread. And stores the, okay, that is in main thread and my thread, and stores the elements into the object. That's example. You know that concurrent hash map object is a thread safe object. So threads are allowed to perform operation at a time. How can you identify whether they are doing at a time or not? You can add one SOP statement so that you can understand. For example, I will do one thing. I can add SOP statements. For example, here I will write system.out.println thread dot current thread dot get name is storing what is storing is storing or is pushing, any word is storing a key value pair storing a key value pair. And let's say, for example, here I will write system.out.println thread dot current thread dot get name is storing a key value pair. Okay, he's storing a key value pair. He also is storing a key value pair. Am I clear? So this is how I'm writing one SOP statement here and there. Here, who is a thread? My thread. What is the name of the my thread now? Thread hyphen zero. What is the name of the thread here? Main, because it is in main. So main thread is storing a key value pair. Yeah, thread zero is storing a key value pair. Both the threads are doing the task at a time. Okay, right? So if you see the output, at least you can understand. What thread zero is storing a key value pair. Main is storing a key value pair. The elements of concurrent hash map. Means how many threads are storing the key value pair at a time? Two threads. One is thread zero and second one is main thread. Who is thread zero? My thread. My thread. Name of the my thread is by default thread hyphen zero. Correct. Just to know about concurrent hash map can be used with multiple threads, and multiple threads can use concurrent hash map objects simultaneously. Okay, and they can work on different key value pairs. If they are working on same pair, then one thread will wait. Again, I'm getting. So just this example, I'll copy. Please try to make it working, execute and leave it. Because if I give more concept also, sometimes it is difficult to get into that. That's better. We'll stop here. Next one. We'll go into another important method called yield method. This is also another important method in threads. Yield method in thread. YIELD. It is also static method. Okay, there is a concept called as yield method. Yield method in threads. See, actually, in thread class, we have a method called yield method. Yesterday, we discussed about diagram called what? Life cycle diagram. Thread life cycle diagram. We discussed about yesterday thread life cycle diagram. Yeah, right? We'll start with. Just give me a second, guys. I'll come back and I'll start. Guys. So we have a method called as yield method. Yesterday I told you there are thread life cycle. In the thread life cycle diagram, I told that there is a okay, other states I'm not writing. Runnable state and running state. Two names I will take. I take runnable state. I will also take running state. I have two states like runnable state and running state. Am I clear with you? Okay, guys. There is a runnable state and there is a running state. Thing is, scheduler will move a thread from runnable state to the running state. I told a thread has a time limit. It all depends. Approximately 100 milliseconds time will be allocated approximately for a thread to run. In running state, which method is called is run method. Which method will execute? Run method will execute in running state only. We are writing run method now. We are overriding run method. That method will execute in running state. How many milliseconds time is allocated? 100 milliseconds time allocated for each thread. Approximately 100 milliseconds. Yeah, 100 milliseconds. After 100 milliseconds time is completed, the thread will be moved back from running state back to the runnable because time is lapsed. Yesterday I've written that statement also. Time is lapsed means time is over. If 100 milliseconds are over, then the thread will be moved from where to where? From this running state to the runnable state. It will be moved back. Very good. Come to the point. Suppose a thread itself, it's a time slice is 100 milliseconds now. Before 100 milliseconds only. For example, if a thread wants to yield means come out. If a thread wants to yield from running, okay, it wants to yield back. Yield means taking out now. That's what people say that crop yielding. Farmers will do yielding the crop. Yielding the crop means what? Taking the crop from the farming land. That's what yielding we are called. So a thread voluntarily means a thread wants to yield from running and wants to give chance to other thread to enter. Because if one thread is yielding out of running, then tell me another thread can enter from runnable to running now. Because if a thread is coming out of running state is empty. Immediately scheduler will provide chance to other thread, it will enter. So if a thread wants to yield by itself from where? Running state. What is the meaning of yielding? Coming out. If a thread wants to yield by itself and wants to give chance to other threads, then the which method is called? Yield method is called. Which method is called? Yield method. That's what the meaning of yield. Okay, this is important for you in an interview. Everything important. The entire class is very important for you. Okay. Yield method purpose is that one. So means what yield method will do? Yield method yields one thread from running state and will give chance for other threads to enter into running state. Will give a chance to other thread. So for that, we have to call this method. Which method? Yield method. Yield method is a static method. Static method can be called with the class name. Static method can be called with the class name. What's the class name? Thread dot yield. Yield is a method which is static method. Like I told you, thread dot current thread. Today we used this statement. Who is current thread? It's a static method of which class? Thread class. Thread dot current thread. Similarly, how can you call yield method? Thread dot yield. This is called yielding the thread. This is called yielding the thread. Am I clear with you? This is called yielding the thread. What's the meaning of yielding? A thread is coming out of running state and will make chance for other thread to enter. Okay. Then we call which method? Yield method. We'll see the definition what is given in the documentation. Java.lang.thread. only we want to go with the yield method. Last one. It's a what type of method? Static. Static method can be called with class name. A hint to the scheduler that the current thread is willing to yield its current use of processor. Okay, right? It is a hint to the scheduler that the current thread is willing to yield its current use of processor. What's the meaning of current use of processor? Okay, a thread is using processor means it is in running state. In which state now? In our terms, it is definition term, documentation term. Our terms is what? It is a hint to the scheduler that the current thread is willing to yield its running state. Current use of processor will be there in running state only. Yield from running state. If it is yielding from running state, other thread can enter now. That's what the meaning of yield method. Okay. So what is the yield method definition? It is a hint to the scheduler that the current thread, okay, is willing to yield from running state, or the current thread is willing to yield the running state. What is the meaning of yielding the running state? Coming out of the running state. Yielding the running state means coming out of what state? Coming out of running state. If a thread is coming out of running state, then the other thread gets a chance. Gets a chance to enter into running state from runnable state. Always threads will enter from which state to which state? Runnable state to running state. Always. Who will pick up the thread from runnable scheduler? That's what yield method. Okay. Yield is a static method. Yield method is a which method? Static method. Yield method is a static method. So we have to call with the thread class name. We have to call with the thread class thread.tv. Let's see. Actually, this is another way of writing the code. Okay. Anyhow, this we are going to discuss from day after tomorrow, Java 8 features. There you are going to learn about this type of writing a program. This is called lambda expression. What expression? Lambda. These are called lambda expressions from Java 8. We can also create threads by using in this way. But currently, you are unaware of Java 8 lambda expressions. This is not yet complete enough. I will do one thing. You just wait. You please wait. I will write my code. Okay. I'll change my code. Everybody, just wait. Just hardly 2 minutes. I'll complete. That's it. Guys, I am done almost. You can see, guys. Guys, you can able to see now. Just I'm converted to our regular program. Tell me here totally. Can you tell me totally how many threads are there in this code? How many threads are there in this code? Totally. 3 threads are
Two.
there.
Oh, three.
Three. Because I told main is
Oh, the
also
main
a thread.
thread. Yeah.
So there are totally 3 threads are there in this code. Thread 1, my thread 1, my thread 2, and main thread. Okay. In main thread, I'm creating the other 2 threads T1 and T2 because I told a thread can be created from another thread only. So T1 dot start, T2 dot start. But if you see T1, nothing but my thread 1. This thread, the task of this thread is what? Print 1 to 5 using a for loop. The task of second thread is what? Again print 1 to 5 using a for loop. Here I took the variable as I, here I took the variable as J. Here I took the variable as J. Am I clear? Here I took the variable as J. Okay, now guys? But I'm not calling sleep method, but I'm calling which method? Yield method. Suppose if thread is running, what happens when yield method is called? This thread will come out so that other thread will get the chance. Who is other thread? My thread 2. For example, if this thread is yielding, then other thread will get the chance. Who is other thread? Oh, my thread 1. There are only 2 threads now. Main thread is okay. Main thread is main thread. Apart from main, there are 2 more threads are there. Program execution starts from main thread. Next, there are 2 more threads, T1 and T2. But T1 yields, T2 will get the chance. T2 yields, T1 will get the chance. So how can I call the yield method? It's a static method. So static method can be called directly with the class name. That's why what I'm writing, thread dot yield. Am I clear now? Now, did you understood about this, guys, everyone?
Sir, can you also write my thread 2 dot yield?
No. Okay, you want, if for example, if a class has a static method, if a class has a static method, I told at the time of inheritance, static methods cannot be inherited. Static methods cannot be inherited. Static methods cannot be overridden. If a static method is there in one class, you have to call that method with that class name only.
Okay.
Okay, static method cannot be inherited. Okay. If it is a static method, it cannot be inherited from parent class to child class. You have to call with the parent class name only. That's why I'm calling my thread dot yield. Oh, sorry, thread dot yield, not my thread 2 dot yield. Error, compile time error. I'll write here otherwise. See, for example, I'm writing my thread 1 dot yield. Okay. Let me check it's a public method or not. If it is a public method, then okay. It is a public method. If it is a public method, it's okay.
But if it was private, then no?
Yeah.
Okay, got it. Thank you.
Next, I just want to, okay, you can write my thread because it's a public method. I thought it's not a public method. Okay. If it is a public method, if yes, otherwise no. Now, okay, now I am writing thread.yield. Let's run this program now. This thread is printing from 1 to 5. This thread is printing from 1 to 5. It is printing I value, but this is printing J value. And both the threads are containing yield statement. Now let us run. Okay, let us run. Here what is printed? J, I, J, I, J, J, like that. We are getting values now. Okay, right? So which means how many threads are concurrently or parallelly executing? 2 threads. I is printed from one thread, J is printed from another thread. Nothing but how many threads are parallelly working? 2 threads are working parallelly, correct? Which method is allowing, or which method is making a thread to yield out of running state? Yield method. I'm not calling sleep method. If I call sleep method, it will go to what? Sleeping state. For 2 seconds or for 1 second or for 3 seconds, like that. But I'm not calling any sleep here. Instead of sleep, what I'm calling? Yield. Okay, yield. What yield method will do? Will move a thread out of running state into runnable state. Then other thread will get the chance. Because of thread 1 is yielding, thread 2 has got the chance. When thread 2 is yielding, thread 1 got the chance. If no yield method is written, for example, I kept yield in comment. Yield in comment. Suppose I kept the yield in comments, and if I run the program, you see, you got I 3, then J, then I, then J. Which means, for example, 100 milliseconds of time is allocated. For a thread, 100 milliseconds time allocated. Tell me in that 100 milliseconds of time, how much values it printed? 3 values printed. For J also 100 milliseconds. Second thread also has 100 milliseconds. Time slice is over. Now another thread entered. It prints up to 4, 5 also. Then next I prints what? Remaining 4 and 5. Which means concept is what here? If there is no yield, how much time the thread will execute in the running state? Up to time slice is over. But the time slice by default are approximately 100 milliseconds. Let's say, for example, means up to 100 milliseconds, it is there only now. But how to make my thread yield out of the running state before its time slice only, before 100 milliseconds only, or before the time slice, whatever is allocated, just it wants to yield out of running state and want to enter in runnable so that it want to give chance to other thread. Okay, then we need to call which method? Yield method. That's what yield method will do. That's the intention of yield method. What happens if yield method is not called? The thread will come out of running state once time is over. Approximately how much time? 100 milliseconds. Let's say that's a difference. Okay. Yes, it is a practice on yield. It is a practice on yield. So yield. Okay, now? Right. So here we will stop the session for today. And coming to tomorrow's session, we'll discuss about what are called daemon threads. Next, what is synchronization? These things we'll discuss tomorrow. Okay, guys. Here, 1 minute.